Debra Morrison, a 42-year financial expert. Welcome to the We Can Do It Women movement, where women 50 and wiser step into the spotlight and make the rest of their lives the best of their lives. I'm your host, Debra Morrison, a 42-year financial wealth building expert who has championed financial empowerment for extraordinary women just like you. Yeah, for over 47 years, I've helped women secure their financial futures, and now I'm on a mission to ignite a revolution. Yep, showing the world that at 50, 60, 70, and beyond, some of us might be a nickel slower, yet we're all just getting started. And our esteemed guest today comes to us from Seattle, Washington, Kalish. Karen is a serial social entrepreneur focused on literacy, closing the opportunity and achievement gaps in low-performing schools and ending all forms of discrimination, especially racial. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
You bet. And I want to give our viewing audience some background, and yet I certainly invite you to integrate and chime in with things that I have not yet discovered about you, because you have a rich background and I don't want to miss one morsel. You've started a lot of not-for-profits. You list three: Operation Understanding in DC, Washington, D.C. So you lived in D.C. for 27 years. Then you go to Chicago for 5 years. You're in Cambridge, Mass. for 2 years. St. Louis, 2001, 2000 to 22. That's a big swath. And then moved to Seattle in July 2022, near the water and the mountains, and live in a blue city in an almost all blue state. God love you. Congratulations. So you have the storied background, and you taught school in DC. You were a consumer and investigative reporter for CBS TV and ABC TV in Chicago. You're a Washington, DC reporter and producer for Entertainment Tonight. Gosh, golly gee. And then you start these three not-for-profits. You never let any grass grow, Karen.
I didn't set out to keep doing these things over and over and over and over, but when I'm a kind of person, when I see something that needs to be done, I have to grab an ally or two or three, roll up our sleeves, and get to work. So the first nonprofit I started, I had been, as you said, a reporter, and then I had a business. And it was during that, when I had this business of teaching people how to talk to the media, halfway through, I heard about this program in Philadelphia for Black and Jewish high school students. And I got one of those V8 moments and said, I got to do this. So as soon as the program was over, I called Philadelphia. I was living in DC, went to Philadelphia the following week, listened to everything, just of everything they did and how the program ran, and said, I got to do it. Can I just use your name? Yes. And put DC on the end, Operation Understanding DC. Can I use your curriculum? Yes. And so it was a handshake. I come back to DC. Debra, I had no idea what I was doing. I did not know how to raise money. And you have to know how to raise money to have a nonprofit, because you're always asking for money. I did not know how to get data. You have to get data when you're starting anything so you can see what works and what doesn't work. Stop doing the stuff that doesn't work and do more of the stuff that does work. But you don't know that until you have outside evaluators coming in, looking at your program. I did not know how to put a board together. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I was smart enough to ask certain people, fundraisers and people who had worked in nonprofit world. I did this. What do I do next? What do I do next? And you know what? It's still going 32 years later. Amazing.
So good.
So I start this program in DC, and I was also having my successful business, and it was, oh my God. So it took 5 years for me to realize you cannot do both these things. You're going nuts. So I turned my business over to the trainers. I turned the nonprofit over to the board, who chose my number two person. And I did what anyone else would do in that situation. I went to Harvard. Now, I know
Yes, I know. I was so impressed.
54 years old, and I got in. I went to the Kennedy School, thought I died and went to heaven. It was like drinking from a hydrant, and it was just, I was a sponge. Do me, do me. And I just loved learning and the people in my classes. And there was a 1-year master's in public policy. So at the end of this 1 year, I am not ready to go.
No, you're not.
And I could stay. So I did two things. Number one, when I got my diploma, before I put it in the frame, I took it to Kinko's and enlarged it and made it into wallpaper. And so
This is a mic drop moment, you guys. She goes to Kinko, takes her degree and enlarges it, and then papers your bathroom or one of your rooms in your home. I mean, that's amazing.
it's obnoxious, is what it is.
No, it's
But
not.
I did it
No,
anyway.
I would have loved to have been a guest at your house, gone to the bathroom and said, "Oh my God, Karen, I
Well,
never did."
people knew about it, so they'd come and say, "Can I see the bathroom?"
Yeah, of course
So,
they did.
and then the other thing I did was I stayed a second year and full load, but it was more people to meet, it was more books to read, more papers to write. It was just, I took everything in the African American department, everything in the leadership department, everything in the nonprofit department, and everything in between. It was really an incredible 2 years. And I even toyed with the idea of staying a third, but I thought
Did
I
you?
better put this into practice, what I'm learning. So I
Yeah.
moved back to St. Louis, and this is a really weird story, but I was in this program and they allowed you, if you wanted to, optional, to do a ride along in a police car. And I said yes to everything. And so I picked Saturday night, 7 to midnight, worst part of town. If I'm going to do it, let's do it right. And I
Right now.
did it, and it was so boring. And this is when St. Louis was in the top five of cities across America with so many murders.
Crime.
But
Yeah.
my particular Saturday night was so boring that I made an appointment with the police chief and said, and I didn't know him, and I said, I want to put all the police in the schools on a regular basis, reading and writing with kids. Because if they're not reading and writing, you're going to get them, and I don't want you to have them. He said, well, you can't have the police, they need to be on the street, but you can have all the recruits. And so I made up this program called Books and Badges, and
Yes.
every recruit for 18 years had to go into the schools while they're in the academy every week and read and write with struggling kids. It was not about reading and writing. It was about the relationship
Yes,
between
it was.
police and kids, police and the community.
Of
And we
course.
got data. I always have to get data. So I got the University of Missouri at St. Louis to get the data. And it was, of course, excellent because it made a difference. So that
Right.
was Books and Badges that went for 18 years. Not long after that, people came to me and said, you know that program you had in DC for high school students? We need it right here. That was 2004. So I made the rounds of different groups and said, anybody interested in working on this? Cut ahead. Yes, we started it. And we had a different name. We had cultural leadership.
Yes.
Similar program where kids would come together and learn about their own and each other's race, religion, culture, and history, and about DEI issues, but
Yes.
what to do about them. This was not a program you just go learn. You got to
Yeah.
do. You got to be
Right.
the people who are going to be in those tough conversations, the kind of
Yeah.
kids who are going to see a problem and roll up their sleeves and get to work.
Be the change agents. You
That's
know,
exactly what they were and
exactly.
are, because that's
Yeah.
still going also. So I started that, ran it for a few years, and then I heard about the program that really took my heart. And that was, well, I'll tell you the why before the what.
Yeah.
Why is in this country, there are millions of little kids, 4 and 5 years old, coming to school on their very first day who don't know their shapes, who don't know their colors, who don't know their letters, and can't write their name.
Of
And when
course.
you cannot do that in your first day of school, that is the school to prison pipeline.
Right now.
So I developed a program that trains, supports, and pays teachers in the lowest performing schools to go to the homes of their moms, dads, meet their mom, dad, and grandma, get a
Yeah.
relationship going, trust going, and then get mom, dad, grandma to start reading, talking, playing, and singing with these kids. It is very difficult to do. Families do not want teachers in their homes. They're not,
I'm sure they don't.
and the teachers are afraid to go.
Yes.
85% of teachers in America are white. 85% of teachers in America are women. Their
Yeah.
husbands don't want them to go. They're afraid, but there are others who just can't wait and they love doing this, and their students jump ahead. They come to
Just
school more,
catapult.
they behave better, and eventually their grades go up.
Yes,
But
of
so
course.
that relationship between school and home is so important. So that was the last nonprofit. I ran it way too long because founders should get out of the way. But I love to raise money, and the board didn't want me to leave. And so I stayed. And then finally, it was time to have someone else. And I was thinking, I was in St. Louis, and it's really difficult to be there, especially for an activist. It's racist, it's conservative. And so I came out to Seattle to visit my nephew who had just had a baby. And I stayed in this hotel that overlooked the Puget Sound and Mount Rainier and thought, oh, wow. So I dated Seattle and then eventually moved here.
So cute.
And since I say yes to everything, so many people know people who live in Seattle. So they would say to me, I want you to meet my uncle, my aunt, my cousin, my colleague, my roommate from college. Okay. So they intro us. And then one of us says, let's get together for coffee, lunch, dinner, walk. And I've met over 500 people in my 3 years here.
You said that.
And so I just love putting people together. And so I have events out here. I have friend raisers, meaning
Yes, I see that. Talk to us about the friend raisers. Come on.
I can't ask people for money for a person or an issue or a nonprofit if they know nothing about it, just on my word. So I have friend raisers, and the invitations talk about the organization or the person or whatever. And it says no donation to attend. There will be an ask, but you don't have to pay to come. So I get way more people,
Oh,
and
yeah.
most of them agree with me that they're pretty special and do give, and not everybody does. So I give friend raisers a lot for candidates, for nonprofits, for issues like gun control. I had Gabby Giffords one time, and there were 80 people here. I'm having one coming up for our new superintendent of Seattle Public Schools because he and I become friends, and we have never met, but we've become friends over Zoom and emails. So I want people to meet him. We have a new editor of the Seattle Times, and I want people to meet him. So I'm having one for him. So I do these a lot, and I love to entertain. I love to put people together, and so that's one of the big things I do. The second thing is the relationship between school and home is so important that I finally last school year, found a school that was very interested in home visits. I trained them, I supported them, and I paid them myself to make the visits, and then got the University of Washington and the Seattle Public Schools evaluation department to work together and come up with a report on what was successful and what wasn't. I won't do anything without getting data and
Right.
outside independent data.
Absolutely.
So it was great. And now I'm in the stage of getting some thought partners together and figure out what would be a good next step because that relationship between school and home is so important and I can't let it go. And the third thing I'm working on is every city in America of any size that has any number of Jewish people has a Jewish paper. Omaha,
Yeah.
Nebraska, with 7,000 Jews, has a Jewish paper.
Yeah.
Seattle, 80,000 Jews, does not have a Jewish
Did
paper.
not.
Does not. And I want a paper.
Yeah.
So I've got everybody segmented in my address book in my email. And so I've got Jewish Seattle, and there's
Yeah.
150 people in there. So I wrote them all last September and said, I want a paper. Anybody want a paper? Anybody would work with me on this? So we've got a whole group and we've been meeting weekly, and it looks like it's going to happen.
Oh, so
So
good.
I just that person who says, let's do it. I mean, let's try. If you don't try, you definitely don't do it. If you
Right.
don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to happen.
I don't have any doubt. So you have a reputation, Karen, as a bold and unconventional troublemaker of the best kind.
That is true. The second nonprofit is the one that gave me that name, and there's an award every year given that name. I love that.
And
I love that name. Troublemaker, the best kind.
I
Yeah,
love it.
I don't want the status quo. There's stuff going on that we everywhere that we
Li-
need to work on,
Right
especially
now.
for our lowest income people and our most under-resourced children. We need them. We need them so much. We
Yeah.
don't need them in prison, or we
We
don't
do
need
not.
them on the streets.
We do
We
not.
need them to be productive members of society. So they're my they're my heart, really.
Yeah. They're your peeps.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very
Well,
lucky and I very lucky and privileged and but it's an obligation and it's much love to be
it's
able
a
to give back and do for others.
it's a
You don't
passion.
get more than you give.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you have in your spare time written three publications, How to Give a Terrific Presentation, Dealing Effectively with the Media, and I'll See You on the Radio. I love that title. So these obviously you have, gifted the children and the teens and the younger kids with these types of talents because that is so important to be able to speak confidently in this day and age. So talk to us about like maybe a case study, a kid that you just thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if this kid's really going to get it, and then they just latched onto it and they just ran around the base paths.
Boy, there's so many of those who
I figured. I figured.
came into the program with not nearly as much confidence as you need to
Yeah.
really get ahead. I can't, Deborah, think of one. I'm trying to picture just one, but coming in and learning those skills, not just the ones you talked about, but the skills of being with other people, the skills of
Oh,
listening with the intent to learn, not trying to get your word in. So learning how to listen and the importance of it is really big skill. We teach the kids things like how to shake hands. And I have five parts to the shake. I'm known in many of the schools as the shake the hands lady because they give me a dead fish.
this
So
dead
I
fish.
say,
Oh yeah.
no, hurt my hand. And then they
Yeah.
start pumping. And no,
Yeah.
don't pump.
No. Yeah.
Just squeeze my hand really hard, hurt my hand. Now look me in the eye. And now let me see your teeth. My name is Karen. What is yours? And so I say, after they do that, I say, you have to do that the rest of your life. And often their parent is standing near there, and I say, isn't that true? And they say, yes. And I said, Dad, you should have taught them that. Or
Yeah.
Mom, you
Yeah.
should have taught them that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So things in eye to eye contact. We teach these high school kids how to go up to the person in the lunchroom or at an event who's standing alone, sitting alone, eating
Oh, right now.
alone,
Right
and
now.
go up to that person and the importance of that. So, some of these skills, they're not like they went from, 180 degrees,
Yeah.
but learning these skills and how to be out in the world and be inclusive are so important. I even wrote a book called The Cultural Leadership Way, and it had all these in there of all these things that kids should be doing. Saying thank you, even to
All
your
right now.
mom for making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or your dad for dropping you off at wherever. I mean, always saying thank you. And being a fundraiser, you can't say thank you enough because you
Right
want
now.
that money to keep coming in so you can have your nonprofit. But saying thank you and showing appreciation, showing gratitude. People don't think about that sometimes too. And
I'm
it
with you.
big things to be grateful for, or just I woke up this morning. That's when that in that program for teenagers, we would go to synagogue on Friday night every time we had a program, and we went to black church on Sunday morning. And I can remember the first time going to black church and hearing the preacher say, "Thank you, God, for waking me up this morning." And I thought, huh? Of course
Yeah.
you're going to wake up. What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that I realized how important that is. And even
Yeah.
now at this age, when people say, "How are you?" Every day I wake up healthy is a great day.
I see.
And so,
I
and
got you
I'm a
covered.
glass half full person. Another thing I live by is changing all your got tos to get tos.
I see
We don't
that. That
say,
is so good.
I got to go to the store. I've got to go to the hospital. No, you
No.
get to go. And it changes everything.
It does. It does. It completely reframes it in a way. And Dr. Joe Dispenza tells us that the brain doesn't know the difference between, manifesting and the actuality. And so we might as well manifest and think positively about this. I commend you on that. You talk about and you give a lot, and you're now just in the process apparently of rethinking giving, and I applaud that. Your focus up to now has been on literacy, closing that achievement and opportunity gap, leveling the playing field for minorities, especially African Americans, and the issue of race, organizing that to help the Jewish community and causes that your close friends care about. And you're really a passionate, Karen, about supporting nonprofits and starting them that move the needle. And I can't tell you how powerful that is because, to your point, I mean, you left in order to form something else, and then the people that you had put into place just were able to come right up into that system and assume those roles because you laid down the foundation and you gave that organization and those organizations the sustainability, right, to impact lasting change because a one-shot wonder is just that. So I commend you with how you have absolutely reframed, and you will never know the impact that you have had in all of these cities, communities, and that's part of the beauty of life, right?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Now talk to me about your grandmother, Estelle,
Um,
and you were
she
her first grandchild.
she was the person who I could do no wrong.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should have someone like that in their life.
What a gift.
Did you have
I,
someone like that?
my grandma Morrison. Absolutely. Yeah.
Everyone needs. And so here in Seattle, I have two nephews. One has three kids, one has two. The two are too young to sleep over, but the two 9-year olds and the 7-year old all sleep over one at a time.
Yeah.
And so I say yes to everything, including breakfast in bed, which I started. They never had that before, but we have donuts and bacon.
Of course.
But whatever they want to do. One of them loves to play
And you're
pickleball.
Jewish. Just reminding our audience, she's Jewish. Okay, go ahead.
Why would that matter?
Well, I don't know. A lot of
You mean
Jews
the
don't eat
bacon?
bacon.
You mean
Yeah.
the bacon?
Yeah. Yeah.
They,
Yeah. You don't care.
they're
All
not
right.
they're not being raised Jewish and it doesn't matter. I don't that's my view. They don't have to.
No, I was
So
wondering
we
about you.
go,
Yeah.
we one of them wants to play pickleball with me, another one we go, the little girl, we get our nails done. We get, I don't know if you can tell, but I have silver threads throughout my hair. And so we
Nice.
always do that. We just always have a ball. We play games, we play Monopoly, we play Crazy Eights. I mean, no matter what they want to do.
You do. You're yes.
And so I think everyone needs to have someone like that. And she was that for me. And I want to be like that for other kids too, my nephews and my great nephews.
Right now.
I think it's important that everyone has somebody
Yeah.
who think you're just so wonderful.
Well, I think that even if you can't harbor that in your and cultivate that in your family and in your circle of friends, that you've done that for children in these schools, right? For the teacher to come out to their home, first of all, they got to feel pretty special, right? And so
True.
that has been magnificently, interweaving, if you will, the you matter, right? You
That's so
matter.
important, Deborah. You're so right. That whole thing of feeling seen, valued, and heard, that you matter. So these kids, elementary, they bug those because the parents initially say no. I don't
Yes, of
want
course.
that teacher in here. They're going to look under my bed or see what kind of mom I am.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That
yeah.
kid, and I tell the kids, you bug your mom until she says yes, or your dad, or your grandma. I mean, that's really a subversive thing to do. But those kids love it when their teacher comes over.
Of
They
course,
are walking on
of
air,
course, of
and it's a
course.
different relationship.
Yeah.
It's
And if the
very,
mother, I'm sorry, if the
it's
mothers
very,
would think
very
about it,
special.
pardon,
It's very, very special.
very special. If the mothers would think about it for a New York minute, the kids would probably clean their room with like, you could do a white glove for their teacher to come to their room. Anyway, I'm just opining.
Well, actually, it's interesting you bring up the white glove because I would say if not every, almost every black person and brown person's home that I have been in is cleaner
Oh
than
yeah.
most white people's home.
Yep. I,
Just
I
amazing. In
I would
fact,
agree with
knowing that for so many years led me to my very first experiment, and that was putting washing machines in schools. So I'll tell you, this is a big lesson that I learned, but I always wanted to figure out a way to get the parents to school and know the teachers. And
you. Yeah.
so one day I thought, well, I'm going to go to some schools and see if they want some washing machines and dryers because they don't have washing machines and dryers in most low income neighborhoods.
Of
They have to
course.
go to the laundromat with all those quarters and their kids because they don't have babysitters and the soap. And I thought, let's just put it in the schools. And so the parents can come, do their clothes. They can't stay there. They have to go into the library and put books away or go in the office and answer the phones or do something, but just get them into the school. So I got this store to provide the washers and dryers, and I started putting this whole thing together. And I was telling people that I was doing it. And if I told white people, they said, "Oh my God, that is brilliant. How did you think of such a thing?" And I told people of color the story, and they said, "Are you nuts? No one's coming." They were right. Nobody came. Put washers and dryers in, soap, quarters, you name it. Nobody came. Why? Two big reasons. Number one, pride. But number two, did I go to one person of color and said, would you like to have washing machines in your school? Not one.
Yeah.
If I had, I would have probably gotten no. And I'd
Yeah.
rather have lights on my street or my potholes filled or childcare or,
Right
a
now.
million other things.
Yeah.
Did I do that? No. I was this white person thinking I knew better.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was one of the biggest lessons I have ever learned. And the short sentences, don't do something about us without us.
Oh my gosh. That's a mic drop.
And so I learned that. And when I'd share that failure, and when I interview people and say, tell me about a failure you had or something you planned and didn't go quite the way you wanted. If they said to me, gosh, I can't think of one, I would say the interview is over. I would never hire anybody who either hadn't failed or didn't have the balls to tell me. And I show them the
Exactly.
door, and that is the end of the interview. And then, but if they do tell me one, and I got lots of them, then I share mine too.
Yes, of course.
So, because failure is the best teacher,
Believe me, it's the best, absolutely best. It doesn't even, nothing runs a close second.
right?
Yeah. Well, tell our audience how they can be in touch with you, Karen, because wow, what a rich resource you are.
Oh, well, I'm on LinkedIn and I'm in Facebook. Um, and Karen Kalish at gmail.com. And I'm in Seattle. And if you're in Seattle, let us get together.
Let's
So I
do
would love
that.
to do that and see what we could do together for Seattle. I'm always thinking of the wider community
Yeah.
and not just these nonprofits that sort of stay in this little lane, just never quite make it. And they can have good ideas, but if they don't have, they're not thinking of the wider community and how to be as inclusive as possible, they just don't make it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'd love to be it. And I'd love to, I am a we can do it woman.
I know you are. That's why we're interviewing you. So I really appreciate your time and sharing your expertise in these stories with us. I could go on, and we will probably have you back to do just that. So
Love
thank you
it.
so much for being with us. And thank you, our viewing audience, for joining us on the We Can Do It Women show. Remember, I see you.
Deborah, I thank you for doing the interview and I thank you for starting this program.
Thank you. You're
I'll
most
tell you what
welcome.
I've already ordered my tombstone.
Oh,
And
good.
here's what it says.
Yeah.
Here lies Karen under the only stone she left unturned.
Oh, I love that. Right now. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, yeah, I've written a couple epitaphs myself, but none of them are quite that witty. Well, congratulations. So,
Thank you and good luck to you.
thank you so much. And just hang with me for a moment. I'm just closing us down here and reminding our audience that your greatest chapter is just beginning. And if today's episode sparked something in you, I invite you check out our We Can Do It Women Facebook group. And I've just started a Women's Rising Wealth Club. And if money may be an issue because times are a little tough and you feel you don't know what you don't know about money, it's never a better time to start today. And invite you to pop over to the Women's Rising Wealth Club. Really informal. Once a month, I'm going to be with you live and throughout the month and between on Facebook group. We're going to be collaborative. We're going to be wealthier. I've helped
Is
hundreds of
that one
women.
word, Women's Rising Wealth Club?
That's it. Yeah.
And it's one word.
Well, it's just,
That's how they can find it though. Women's Rising Wealth Club.
yeah, I'm going to put the link in the
Good.
show notes.
Okay, good.
So right below here, we're going to have the link and people can click on it. So yes, it is actually
It's such a
uh,
good idea. I
right
don't
now.
like the word retired because it sounds half dead, but I changed it to rewired with a
Yes,
capital W or next chapter. And it sounds like that's what you're helping people with.
right now, right now. I'm leveraging what I have and multiplying it, right? Einstein called compounding the eighth wonder of the world, and pretty smart guy. So we're going to compound our wealth. We're going to compound our confidence, which is inevitably going to take us to second base. And then we're going to get some support on building strategies that feel congruent and align with our values. And we're going to make our money and we're going to live our lives in a way that we are deserving. Well, maybe even not deserving. I don't know as I even believe that in life, but in a way
A
in which
rich
it
life where
is
we give back.
Enriching, exactly. So thank you so much. And I am going to invite you to tune in for next week's interview and do reach out to Karen because she is a treasure trove of information. And thank you so much.